Hello, thank you for watching my channel today. My name's Sarah and my channel is Gorgeous Yours Yourself. Today I'm doing a video called Are These My Best Books? So I've seen several people do this. I've already filmed the one Are These My Worst Books? Basically it's where you rate all your books that you've read on Goodreads according to the best average rating, and then you take the top 10 in this case best rated books and compare them to your own opinions. So I've done that with the 10 worst rated books, and now I'm going to do it with the best rated books. So I'm going to start from 10 and work up to 1. I've taken out all the Harry Potters just because most of them are in, I think all of them are in my top 10, and obviously it's pointless having them take up all of the spaces. So the number 10 on my list is one that I got from the library, so I have to insert a picture. And that is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. So that one has an average rating of 4.43 and I gave this one 5 stars. I think everybody has heard about this book now because it jointly won the Booker Prize last year. It's listed for the Women's Prize this year, and it's about 4 sets of 3 women who are black women living through different parts of or different areas of time, mostly in London, I think mostly in London, but there are people elsewhere in the world, and how their stories all interlink with each other. I absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic book. I'm really glad that's in the top 10. The book at number 9 is this one. This is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. This is a YA book, and this is about a little boy called Oggy, and he has what I took to be Treacher Collins syndrome, which is where there's quite severe facial disfiguration, and he has been homeschooled for the first part of his life, and then this is where he starts going to school, and about how other children react when they see his face, and about how he manages to make friends. It's such a beautiful book. It's uplifting and brave and just lovely, and I loved the film adaptation as well with Owen Wilson and Julia Roberts. That was really good. This I think is told in I think it's told by different people from what I remember. It's told from different perspectives, and I've actually also got, this is a bit of a tangent, but my mum bought me this one, which is Oggy and Me, and this is by his friends telling his story. So I think ours myself in the face. I think this one I think is from his perspective and his family's, and this is the one from his friends. I haven't read that one yet, but if I love it as much as Oggy, then as much as Wonder, then that would be good. I don't think I said actually that was 4.45 stars average, and I gave it 5 stars. The next book is another one that I got from the library, and that is at number 8, and that is Educated by Tara Westover. That got 4.47 average and I gave it 5 stars. This is a non-fiction, a memoir of Tara's incredible life growing up in a very fundamentalist Mormon family in Utah, where to the point where they're not even given birth certificates or sent to any kind of education, or they don't live any sort of normal life, and goes from her journey with her family to sort of all of her desire to have an education, and because they don't go to school or anything, and how she ends up doing a PhD at Cambridge University. That's in the blurb, so it's not a spoiler. You know that she's going to do that from the beginning. It's about how she got from one to the other, and how she dealt with the separation with her family and the constant pull to go back to her family, but also the realisation that if she goes back, her life would be more difficult again. So it's an amazing memoir. It's one that unless you knew it was a memoir, you'd never believe it was a true story, because it's so good. I mean, so wildly different from kind of what I know in life. It's just amazing. She's an amazing woman. The next one at number 7 is one which I loved, but I know that has had come under some criticism, and that is The Help by Catherine Stockett. This got 4.47 average and I gave it 5 stars. So I read this probably getting on for 10 years ago, when it was quite new. I absolutely loved it, but it has come under some criticism because Catherine Stockett is a white woman who has written from a black perspective in this book, and there's been some sort of questioning whether it's possible for her to have that enough insight to write from the perspective of a black woman when she will have lived a much more privileged life than the women featured in this story who are servants to white people. I don't know. If you take that out of it, that is such a good story, and I enjoyed it so much, and I loved the characters, and she's written it, I think she's written it convincingly, but then that's me as a, not as a person of colour talking about that, so I don't know if I have the sort of knowledge to really say that, but I really loved the book, and I think she wrote a great story, and I really, really enjoyed it. The next one at number 6 is this book here. This is called A Soul's Journey by Peter Richelieu. This got an average of 4.47 and I gave this one 3 stars. So this is a spiritual book. It's it's all about kind of death and the afterlife, but it's sort of told in a bit of a fable type of way, and it's really hard to know how to explain it, but it's basically about like a soul's journey, basically. I think it's of the guy's brother. Yeah, so a guy is in despair after the death of his brother, and then he's visited by an Indian mystic who takes him out of the physical world into the astral planes of the afterlife. So I just, like, my mum loves this book and she bought me this copy, but it just, the way it was told wasn't really my cup of tea, and so that's why I ended up giving it 3 stars. But if you're into that sort of thing, then, you know, by all means, check it out and form your own opinions. Next is another book I got from the library, but I did a whole video just about this book. So this is at number 5 on the list. This is The 4-Pillar Plan by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. This has 4.44 average rating and I gave it 5 stars. So this is basically about, it's a non-fiction book. It's about how to be healthier and happier, really. It's based on the 4 pillars of eat, move, sleep and rest or relax. I will link the video that I made about it if you're interested in it. It's a really great book. So it's not too dense at all in text. It's got lots about sort of basics about sleep, nutrition, exercise, relaxation, meditation, lots of those kind of things in there. It's got really helpful tips. It's got lots of photos. It's very easy to read, and if people at work, if patients ask me how they can make changes in their life in a positive way, or how they can get healthier, or how they can manage their new diagnosis of high blood pressure or high cholesterol or stuff like that, I will, if they're a person who likes books, I'll invariably recommend that book because it covers all the bases, covers them really well. I think he's a really great guy, and he's also got a podcast called Feel Better Live More, which if you like his work then definitely have a listen because it's really good. Number 4 on the list is a book which is quite hard to describe, and that is The Silver Wheel by Ellen Tompkins. So this is another spiritual book. This got 4.5 average rating and I gave it 5 stars. So this is basically based on shamanic teachings and Atlantis and the Elven world, and it's sort of like a spiritual teachings book based on all of those things. It's really hard to describe it in any other way, but yeah, it's like if you're into that kind of thing, definitely check it out. I really don't know how to kind of describe it, but there's sort of myth, fairy tale, legend in there. There's some artwork in there, so if I can find a picture. So there's some sort of like drawings in there as well. And if you're into shamanic teachings and that kind of thing, then I would check it out. So the next one on the list is a book of poetry. This is number 3 on the list, and this is by my dear friend Bert, Roberto Pastore, who has the channel Pastori Time with his wife Sean. So this is Hey Bert, his first poetry collection. This has got an average of 4.52 on Goodreads, and I didn't give this stars because I just couldn't, because I don't know how, I just think poetry is such a personal thing, and also it felt wrong to give my friend a star rating, so I just left it unrated, but it's very good. These are poems which you really get a flavour of what Bert is like as a person through these poems. You can really kind of feel his presence in the poems, and I really love the collection. It's the collection that I will return to, and it's divided into 3 sections. So the sections are throat, belly and heart, and I just, yeah, it's a really great collection that I was really privileged to read. At number 2 on the list is another library book that I had, and that is Wildin Bright, Isabella Tree. This is a non-fiction book about Isabella and her husband, who inherited Knepp Castle and Knepp Estate. They were using it as farmland, which is what it was when they inherited it, and the farm was becoming more and more unprofitable as time went by, to the point where they were heading for bankruptcy. And so they decided to basically sell all of the farm equipment and to rewild the land, so get it back to its pre-farmed state when it was much more natural and untouched, and see what happened to the ecosystems and the diversity that were in the sort of more natural grounds. And it was absolutely fascinating. It got 4.53 average. I gave it 4 stars at the time, but now I would up it to 5, because that book has really stayed with me. I really enjoyed learning so much about nature and about the power of nature, and how if we can just give it a chance, how it can bounce back. And it was beautifully written. And then the final book at number 1, the highest rated of my books that I've read on Goodreads, is Still by Kennedy Ryan. This is a book which has got a 4.63 average, and I rated it 5 stars. So this is the 3rd of a trilogy. This chronicles, this is like a romance trilogy between Bristol and Grip. Bristol's white, Grip is black, and it's about their relationship and how it is to be a mixed race couple in America. It's set in contemporary times. It's got the 3rd book was this, which is Still, blew me away. Like, it deals with very big themes in terms of race, and also the Black Lives Matter movement as well. It deals with the criminal justice system. It deals with disability, and it deals with it really, really well. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And of the 3 books, that was really definitely the best one. It's one of the best books I've read this year so far. So that was my list of the 10 highest rated. Interestingly, none of my favourite books of all time made it onto this list. So I think at some point I'll do another video about my favourite books of all time. And I also want to do a project at some point where I reread my favourite books of all time to see if they still mean as much to me as they did the first time I read them. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed watching this. Let me know if you've done a similar video, or if you have read any of the books on this list and whether they're your favourites. I'd be interested to know what your top 3 are in your Goodreads, if you just leave a list in the comments so I can have a look. And I will speak to you soon. Bye!